people stitching together all these M&As. I hope, Mr. Vaidyanathan, you have a lot to share with our audience.
Good morning. Good morning, friends. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Next time, just say, introducing Vaidyanathan to come and talk to you. Please don't do all these things. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, friends. It really is a great pleasure for me to be here. I was invited to this function just a couple of days ago, saying that this event is coming up and can you talk to our entrepreneurs, and many of our lead to unicorn entrepreneurs will be here. Now, I know all of you, or many of you, have gone through a proper process. Over 5,500 applications were received. You went through a process of going through a boot camp. You met some fantastic founders who came and talked to you during the session. And I'm just hoping that all of you gained a lot of insight during those sessions. Now, of course, there are 20 founders who finally made it to the list, and I'm hoping to see some of them today. Now, about entrepreneurship, one of the key reasons why India is really firing this way for the last many years, economy is growing, all these things are happening, is because India is now becoming a land of entrepreneurs. It's a very big thing, by the way, from being a land of job seekers to becoming a land of entrepreneurs. A very big shift India has done over the last many years. And I see the startup entrepreneurs as not just entrepreneurs, new age entrepreneurs. And what do we mean by new age entrepreneurs? We mean the set of entrepreneurs who have got created in the new digital ecosystem. The new digital ecosystem meaning the, the Aadhaar, the India stack, the 800 million bank accounts, the 800 million maybe mobile phones are now 700 million, I'm told, even smartphones, account aggregator, ONDC, Open, all these things didn't exist just about 5 or 7 years ago. So all entrepreneurs who have got created on this new ecosystem I described are, let me say, the startups that we are addressing today. Now, when you look at this opportunity that all of you are having at this point of time, it is also true that at this point of time, many are facing a funding winter. If you're one of those who got funding on time, you're probably having tears of joy because you said, man, I got the money in the bank and I'm feeling very safe for the next 8, 9, 12 months. By the time my vehicle will take off. Some of you are really struggling, and that's also part of life. That's how the ecosystem works, and suddenly the winter has come on us. But it is not really a winter, because I want to just describe to you today that why this ecosystem and the story will not get stopped even though there's a temporary slowdown of startup cash flows from venture capitalists, etc. The one reason is really well known to everybody, which is the India is growing, demographics, young population, people very comfortable with the digital ecosystem, new generation coming which is already soaked into the new digital ecosystem. All that is really well known. This morning I read a report from Bloomberg, it's a good report actually, which talks about the Indian middle class, which is now 430 million today in India. It talks about it will reach 700 million by 2030. Now that's a massive shift of jump of another 250 million middle class people coming into the country. And all of that will have a demand, and all of that will be digitally friendly, and all of you have big opportunities and touching that ecosystem and serving them. So that's the well-known reasons. I won't go there, and if any of you want to understand that very well, just listen to the speech made by Nandan Nilekani. He's really the guru of our digital India. And you saw, I saw it was just a mind-blowing presentation. So frankly, after that presentation, I don't need to give you anything. Just go to internet, see the presentation, you'll learn a lot. I don't want to go there. The thing that I want to talk about is more about our own experience about how these startups and fintechs are all adding value to an existing, to converting a traditional workflow and traditional methods of doing business, and how to make them new age and what role startups are playing in that. So if you understand this, you will understand that no matter this funding winter this way or that way, how long-term will look good. I'll explain that to you. Now, as you know, most of the Indian ecosystem until maybe 5 or 6 years ago was largely the physical, the traditional ecosystem. If you're a Kirana shop, you're running a Kirana shop, you ran that for centuries. But now, if a Kirana shop wants to set up a, let me say, a website, obviously they can't afford, coders from the best institutes, and they can't find search engine optimizers to work for them. How can a kirana shop afford all that? So there is some startup who can say, listen, I have a ready-made website ready-made for you. You just have to plug your name into it. Your website is up and running tomorrow. So what is that entity done? They are providing, as a service. They're providing the whole tech stack as a service, where a chemist or a kirana shop just puts the name onto it, just customizes for the name, customizes the inventory, and they're up and running. Now, what is happening here? Because the system was traditional, someone came in as a horizontal, plugged a service where all kirana shops can avail of a service and suddenly become digital, in that example. Now, in our world of banking also, this is happening. Now, how loans were given, and it's been given particularly over 30, 40 years that we all know. But now, let me give a specific example. Now, suppose you're originating loans. What do? You look for customers. And by the way, the example I'm giving for loans can apply for any of your industries. So, suppose there's a loan. You're applying for a particular loan. Now, there is you're soliciting customers. So what do? You go to a market, you try to find customers who are availing or who could be potential customers. You knock on doors, go after, shop after shop, looking, do you want a current account, do you want line of credit? Maybe you get a hit rate of 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 50, and then you come back dejected and your efficiency is weak. Now, there is some fintech that says, hey guys, listen, this is all very inefficient. Now, they have gone independent of this banking system, independent of anybody, has gone and collected GST data, has gone and collected mobile data, has gone and collected transaction data, has gone and collected maybe filing of the tax records, and maybe cookie data, whatever. So they've picked up all the data, and they have made a database out of it, and then they're telling the banking system or anybody, saying that, listen, I can give you a set of entrepreneurs who have a turnover of over 5 crores, who are profitabilities over X, whose entrepreneurs are living in this territory of Bannerghatta or Koramangala, and now you can go and reach them. It becomes very, very efficient. Now, let's move to the next stage. Now, let us say that now customer is given certain level of information about address or something. Now, there will be some fintech or some startup who will say that, listen, you have the information, you have no way verifying these on your traditional methods. We have a method how we're going to go and pick this number, this address from the NSDL, plug that in, pick the number from Aadhaar, plug that in, verify it for you, and give it to you. Now, if a bank were to do this, it just take that much more time to develop, because that fintech is doing that only for all their life, because they're developing the capability for that. Then move to the next stage. Supposing after that, let me say you got to hit the credit bureau, now, which is a normal step. So, credit bureau. Now, you might say that, for less than this much ticket size, I will hit this bureau. For above this ticket size, I'll hit CIBIL. If this data on this bureau is not good enough, I will want to hit this bureau. Now, there is some, technology firm that comes and says, hey, just plug into me, and we will, through API hit me, and we will help you choose the right, bureau that you want, depending on your economics. Now, you move on from there to the next stage. Suppose credit verification. Now, you took bank statement in a particular way, and it was physical, like for many, many years. And then someone sat and worked on it. But now some technology firm is saying that, listen, do all this very old style. We have developed a very specialization for being able to scan or do an OCR of the PDF file, analyze it for you in a fraction of a moment, find out the average balances between 1st to the 7th of the month when the EMI will be hitting them, and then we will be in a position to give you, high quality output which you can take decisions on. Now, again, there's a fintech that has come and attached that in the process. Now you move on from there, and then suppose you're doing you're servicing. There are again similar technologies available, which are now suppose collections. Now, again, collections requires lots and lots of technology, lots and lots of science. Someone is saying, I built the entire stack for you, you can take it. So the small example I'm pointing out is that every stage of origination, solicitation, credit verification, this, that, collection, etc., some, startup is plugging, startup is plugging into the system to make the whole stack much more efficient. And all the bank is doing is just plugging into each of those startups, and lo and behold, you become new age, right? So this is why now this logic applies everywhere. If you're in the education industry, medicine industry, every industry, there is a traditional way of doing it. They don't have time, energy, resources, motivation, drive, or the skills or any of these things to rapidly transform. Someone plugs in, and you're up and running. So therefore, this transformation of the ecosystem from a traditional ecosystem to the new age ecosystem is being heavily powered by startups. And what I call the new age startups present here. This is, and forever there will be always some traditional organizations. No bank, no financial institution, no NBFC, no telecom service provider, no education service provider. They're all, nobody will have the time or energy to, get the, to the level of hacks that are required to become new age all by themselves. People will plug into some API somewhere. And this is the reason why we will forever be in business. Now generative AI has come. A lot of people heard generative AI. They don't know how to use it. Now somebody will come in and say, hey guys, I'll plug generative AI into you and give you, solution. You get the drift. So therefore, this opportunity, though you may funding, the stress may be with you right now, I can feel for it sometimes, but it will pass because the need is there and the need will never go away of transforming from old to new. And forever, it's been happening for, years, it'll happen now also. So this is one fundamental reason why this, at least B2B startups, I believe are in fact having a better chance of success than even B2C success, because B2C is cost of acquisition is high. By the time you really make it successful, you need loads and loads of capital, all that kind of stuff. Now, but the examples I gave are all B2B. Now, let me just say that finally, it's not only about how we get the funding, how we get the opportunity. We know the India opportunity, we know everything. We know the digital opportunity, we know the B2B opportunity, we know the B2C opportunity. They're all like phenomenal. I mean, this is so exciting. You can't even think of any other country which is just like swimming in opportunities that India is today, and particularly for startups. The thing is that how to deal with how to deal for a startup, and I can see many of you in the maybe early 30s or maybe early 20s, and some of you who are all going through the early processes. Frankly, age, people can do startups at any age. The issue that people face is, and even we face when we started the Capital First, initially at that point of time, let me say a loan book was 100 crores. 100 crores, even at 10% name, how much money are you going to make? You're going to make 10 crores. For 10 crores, what can you afford? What systems can you afford? What technology? What people can you afford? You can't even hire 100 people in the company. You're out of money. So, in fact, you can't even get the best people to join you at that stage because, you're a startup. So this is one really big issue that people face when they are small. Brand is not known. You don't get so much, let me say, attention in the society or from partners. These are like real problems. Now, the problem also is that, if you were to give you two situations, this is right, this is wrong, choose. Obviously, everybody will educate to take the right path. Should I fudge or should I keep it clean? Obviously, keep it clean. There's no decisions. Problem comes when you are stuck with two bad choices, and that often comes. Supposing, the company we started at that point of time, we had a net worth of some 690 crores, and we had a loan of 150 crores, a bad loan. Think about it, the real situation. Bad loan. Now you disclose it, boy, you're dead, because you got a charge off, you will make a loss, no bank will fund you, you're finished. If you don't disclose it, then you're in trouble, because anyway you're part of a process where you're not being truthful to the data, etc. Now, these are bad choices to make. Similarly, when you are, and this is the real world. It's not about giving theories to people about be ethical, be this. This is the real situation people face, at least in startup world. Now, the other thing is that you get started. Now, you're pitching for a private equity firm or somebody to back you or a venture capital. There's a real problem in your entity. Do you disclose? If you disclose, you're dead because the person is not going to fund you. You don't disclose because then you're being unethical. That's not what you've been taught to do. Now, very hard choice. This is the situation people face. Now, supposing somebody backed you also, right? In our case, I got $150 million from somebody. Now, after you get started, suppose the entity is loss-making. One of your entrepreneurs is telling you that, cut your cost. But you're the entrepreneur, you don't feel like cutting cost, you feel like growing out of trouble, you believe if I just pour more resources of this, if I scale up, I will make money and we'll come out of it. Now, both are talking professionally, but who's right? And you're the entrepreneur, they are holding maybe 70, 80, 90% of your company. Now, hello, They have the power, but you have the ideas, and you want to go your way, they want to go. Now, if you break up, you're in trouble, because, so this is the problem always is having two bad choices and having to choose among one of them, or the lesser of the evil, and how to reconcile. Other problem as startups all of you will face, whether you'll own up, don't own up, I don't know, is when you're doing deal making, right? I've done, quite a few of them in the last few years. First we made Capital First, then we did the merger with IDFC, and now recently we merged with IDFC Limited. So I've been through this process many times. We've done fundraisers quite a while. Now, I don't have time to explain, but I can just tell you that oftentimes the issue is, at a negotiation, at what stage do you want to be? You obviously want a good deal. You're an entrepreneur. You don't want to dilute stake. It's true. But the other party is also very smart. Remember, okay? And they also want a good deal. Then finally you say, okay, forget a good deal. I'm happy with a fair deal. Okay? You say, okay, fair deal. Now the other party doesn't even give you a fair deal. They give you a bad deal. But your choice is between a bad deal where you get diluted a lot or die. They'll say, man, it's better, a bad deal is better than death, right? So, and sometimes these are choices you have to make, and you have to make things happen, right? If you look at when Jet Airways was going down, I'm pretty sure they had a deal with Etihad or somebody to complete the transaction. They must have had some transaction, something like that. They must have broken off. Finally, they had a problem. So, to ensure that one of the roles as leaders, and remember, one of the biggest things as startups we face is that people join us. And that responsibility sits very hard on us, on our chest. Say, man, a lot of people have joined us. Now, if you drive the vehicle to the ground, a lot of stakeholders, your employees who have left good jobs and joined you, probably your customers, they're all getting hurt. So we should keep the larger ecosystem in play, sometimes compromise, sometimes take a deal that is less than fair, and then move on with it, is my experience. I'm just sharing with you. You don't get the best deal. Forget the fair deal also. Right? Just move on, because it's not only you and your life. It's somebody have bet their job, their life to come and join you. So this is something that these are complexities people experience. It's just not the straightaway decision between right and wrong. These are obvious decisions. So my thing is that when we have this sort of an approach, that as a leader, one of our responsibilities is making things happen. End of the day, it's not our ego that I said this, you meant this, I meant this. These are meaningless conversations, right? It has to happen. And things have to land for your interest and the interest of a lot of people who are probably dependent on you and joined you as a startup firm, etc., etc. And finally, my sense is that the reputation is a very powerful thing. At least I experienced it, because at that point of time, Mr. Deepak Parekh was there, and some of the PE firms went to Mr. Parekh and asked him, saying, "What do you think of the guy?" He said, if there's one guy, and this is something Mr. Parekh personally told me, and later that firm also told me, is that he said that if you have to back one person, this is way back in 2012, one person back this guy. Now, just that one sentence from Mr. Parekh is good enough to, just enough. Reputation, right? They, of course, went to Mr. Kamath, and he had something similar to say, which I'm grateful to everybody. But my comment is that somehow reputation, image, etc., they run ahead of you. They're really powerful things. And, larger India ecosystem, all these are powerful things. I can't even tell you how big the story is coming. If we can manage our way, how we deal with the ecosystem and deal with our emotions and deal with deal making, then and do transform, let me say, traditional business into digital businesses, I think that will really be a big deal. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Vaidyanathan. I mean, it's always a tough choice, and making the right choices is what is going to define